Hello folks, today is Friday, April 22nd, 2022. As usual, my name is Jake Baldino, here to talk about all the video game news that has been going on this week. And it's a pretty jam-packed week, so let's just jump in. Starting off with PlayStation news, kind of catching up with things, really. There's been a lot of talk lately about what is Sony going to acquire? What big new company or studio is Sony going to gobble up? Because, as we've talked about in the past, all the major publishers and platform holders are buying up companies. And catching up from last week, insider and journalist Jeff Grubb, who has gotten some scoops right before, has said that it is not Kojima Productions that has been heavily rumored for a long time. He said that, according to him, that's not the case, and that it's actually bigger than Kojima Productions, which could mean literally anything. And then one other thing I wanted to include that I think is really worth a read is a tweet thread by a Japanese analyst. He works for a Japanese gaming consultancy business. His resume checks out, and he posted a long tweet thread kind of detailing and outlining the background behind From Software, the creators of Dark Souls and, of course, more recently Elden Ring, and kind of goes into and outlines their path and how technically they could be acquired by Sony. Now, that is just a rumor. He's even saying himself, it could happen, it could not happen. But still, the information and how From Software was formed, a lot of this I actually didn't know, so I would just say it's worth a read if you like this stuff as much as I do, because all the news stories, like usual, everything I talk about is going to be linked down in the description. It's also completely empty in here today. Do you guys remember back when the pandemic started and I was doing videos and I was just talking to myself? It feels like that again. Now, moving on to more PlayStation news, to celebrate 420, God of War 2018 lead Cory Barlog posted a little update video saying that they are very much still working on God of War Ragnarok and that they don't quite have something to share right this second, but please be patient, which, cool, whatever, man, very nice. But then people went online and asked other people working on God of War if they can confirm that it's still 2022, because it sounded like maybe we wouldn't see it this year. And somebody working there, and I have the tweet here, confirmed that we are still going to see it in 2022, which, cool. Awesome. Rumors are circulating around Insomniac's next game and possibly multiplayer. So they posted a job listing looking for engineers specifically around a world-class multiplayer project, which referenced worlds and lore and existing properties and melee combat. Now, that could mean anything. At first, I was like, multiplayer, okay, Killzone? Are they going to make a new Killzone? But it could be more than that. Is it a Marvel thing? Who knows? But your boy just thought that was a kind of interesting update. And also in some cool news, some news that personally excites me, is more Star Wars games post-EA. Now, we've talked about a lot of Star Wars announcements in the past. Now that EA isn't going to have exclusivity to make the games, Lucasfilm Games is branching out and giving different developers games to make, like we've talked about previously, like with Quantic Dream. And now Amy Hennig is once again getting a crack at a Star Wars game, working with Skydance. Skydance is also working on a Marvel game, but now they have announced they are working on a Star Wars game headed up by Amy Hennig. For those of you that don't know, is one of the creators of the original Uncharted, total legend who was kind of bounced around from project to project for a while. She was working on a Star Wars game for the longest time, and it sounded promising. There's so much insider reports and so much information out there about that game if you want to read up on that, thanks to some good reporting. But more Star Wars games are in the works, and I've said this before, but I think things are looking up. There was a time where we just had Star Wars games all the time in the 90s and 2000s, and it was cool, and I'd like to see these worlds explored in games again. So hopefully there's a step in the right direction. Oh boy. Now, in some other news catching up, we missed the news a week or so ago with the reports suggesting that Xbox is looking into placing ads in their games, like in-game ads, specifically around free-to-play games. And, just ads in games kind of freaks people out. Doesn't sound good. Don't really want that type of thing. And interestingly enough, now this week, we have news from Sony suggesting from insiders that they are also looking into doing the same thing. This stated specifically it was going to be inconspicuous stuff, like a billboard in an open world game or something like that. But this is still actually a little bit more of a ways out, because game makers actually have to bring advertisers on board and convince them, especially with M-rated games. I expect this to just be free to play only for now, but still it paints a larger picture. We're just a bunch of ads and games. Not good, man. I got an idea. What if we didn't? Hey, next up, big thanks to Vapor95 for sponsoring this video. Now, they offer art as products and clothing based around vaporwave aesthetics, 90s nostalgia, internet culture, anime, and more. And all of their stuff is awesome. They offer a lot of stuff from like mirrors that look like old CDs to cool tapestries and hoodies, and we've been really digging their stuff because we're 90s kids. And it's nice to wear clothing that represents the golden age of video games and internet culture. Yeah, that's right, I said it, the golden age. And I mean, look at it, all of their stuff is really bold and crazy and slick with a really cool nostalgia aesthetic. Vapor95 collaborates with and supports artists, and all of their clothing items are made to order right here in the United States, and all of it is eco-friendly and nice and soft. So if you want to rock some retro and go a little bold, be it with a product, a tapestry, a hoodie, t-shirt, Hawaiian shirt, sweatpants, and a bunch more stuff, just use discount code gameranx at vapor95.com for 15% off your order. And yes, they actually are selling a hat like this for real. So click the link in the description, vapor95.com. Thanks to Vapor95 for sponsoring this video. Sorry, I just look weird with hats on it. This is why I don't wear hats. And another update, a lot of PlayStation news, like I said this week, but Syphon Filter, 2 words I can't believe I'm saying out loud. New leaks are suggesting listings for the original Syphon Filter games have been rated for PS4 and PS5, suggesting that they are coming. Re-releases, whatever have you. A lot of people are thinking this is leading up to Sony's new updated PlayStation Now, or PlayStation Plus, rather, service that is going to give you access to games, like a subscription type of thing that we've talked about. You're going to get access to legacy games, older games they've suggested, and it seems like this is it right here. Syphon Filter, pretty cool. Those games were great. Metal Gear Solid was better. I'm biased, sorry, not trying to start a fight, but just cool old games that some people might be able to play for the first time, see what we're all yapping about. I can't wait for a bunch of 14-year-olds to fire up the original Syphon Filter on their PS5 and go, this is terrible. Come on, man, you had to be there. But we also now have updates from Nintendo on some release date stuff. Xenoblade Chronicles is now pushed to July 29th. But swooping in, now we have Splatoon 3 releasing September 9th. Along with that, Facebook or Meta or whatever you want to call it had their VR gaming showcase. It's kind of just small updates for people that are already fans of VR. The things that interested me the most is like a new game from the Boneworks people. That game was very experimental, and ultimately I wasn't as into it as much as other VR fans were, but I appreciated the work they put in, so this new one could be really promising. Along with that, just a cool update to Resident Evil 4 VR, a full redone Mercenaries mode. As a Resident Evil fan, I just love that mode, and I will always applaud it showing up more. Also, they're bringing Ghostbusters to VR, so who are you gonna call? Mark Zuckerberg, I don't know. Now in some other news, Sega announced a new Sonic collection, Sonic Origins. This is coming in June, and it's remasters of 4 classic games. It's Sonic the Hedgehog 1, 2, Sonic 3, and Knuckles, and Sonic CD. They're gonna be remastered and updated with visuals and tweaks and little extra features and stuff like that, and what came with it is a very complicated DLC and pre-order bonus screen, which just, ugh. I saw this, and it's like, aren't we past this? This feels like the Deus Ex augment your pre-order days. You remember that? Though a lot of people forgot about that, but I still remember. And in some strange news, It Takes Two is becoming a movie. Yes, one of my favorite games from last year. I freaking love that game. Has been picked up by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's production company. And it's going to be him producing and working with the movie, as well as Joseph Fares, the lead behind that development studio, the F the Oscars guy. So yeah, I don't really know how to feel about that, because I thought it was cool and like quirky and light, like a Pixar animated movie type thing. But some of the fun was really just from the actual gameplay experience. I also don't think like The Rock's type of production company movies is the right fit for this, but that's just me. I'm a movie weirdo. I still root for video game movies. It's just like a weird, interesting thing to see them continue to try. It's always interesting to talk about. It just makes me appreciate video games even more. So we're just gonna have to wait and see where this one ends up. But also at PAX East 2022 in Boston, my favorite video game convention ever. I'm not there. I didn't go this year. Shout out to any of you guys who are there. Hope you're having fun. Miss you. Friends, colleagues, people who watch the show. It's always so good to meet you. I'll see you next year. But first day at PAX East, 2K and Gearbox came out with a bunch of stuff, and the biggest announcement to come from the Gearbox thing was a new Tales from the Borderlands game, which is pretty unexpected, but pretty cool. Now, that game was pretty successful, a lot of people would say, because Telltale Games made it. But Telltale Games at least as it currently stands, isn't quite the same. So this is an internal Gearbox developed game, which could mean anything. It could be a completely different type of game, so I'm still pretty skeptical. I know a lot of people, the story and the writing behind Tales from the Borderlands was some of the best stuff in the Borderlands universe, so I'm glad they're trying it again, but seemingly with a different team involved. But it is slated right now, I believe, for 2022. So yeah, but that's all the news going on this week. There's a lot. Like I said, there was a lot of PlayStation news, so I want to know what you think about the new PS Plus, and are you going to get it to play Syphon Filter? What do you think about Xbox and PlayStation putting ads in games? Do you think it's going to stick to free-to-play, where I guess it makes sense? Or do you think it's going to trickle into your $60 game experiences? Are you also going to jump back into Warzone because King Kong and Godzilla showed up? What type of crossover would you like to see in one of those big, crazy free-to-play games? What do you think about the new Halo updates, the announcement of a new Star Wars game? Let's talk about anything this week. Like I said, it's a lot this week. So let me know what you think down in the comments. We'll be down there as much as possible, but things do get a little crazy. So if you want to yell at me directly, of course, you can always find me on Twitter and Instagram and my other YouTube channel, Jake Baldino. But thank you guys for being here. Clicking the like button legit helps us. We would appreciate that. We're here every Friday for you to just give you a light news catch up. Hope you have a nice weekend. Go enjoy yourself. Be safe. I'm Jake Baldino. Pizza's on me.